All right, my reaction to the Giants Cowboys game. First of all, I'm salty as hell when the Giants went down to kick that damn field goal instead of trying to go for it at the end of the game. I knew Dallas was just going to march right down the field. And it's just one of those things, man. Could have, should have, would have. Sucks. Hurts. First game of the year. And they fought so hard. It would have been nice for them to get this victory. But what they did do is they showed a lot of heart, a lot of character, but they just don't have it. And it was what I predicted, pretty much. I felt like they would fight hard, but just couldn't get it done. You know, the Giants just don't have it yet. They don't have it together. They haven't gelled. There's not enough offensive power. Get down to the 1 yard line and don't get into the end zone at the end of in a very important division game against the defending divisional champions. You got to get into the end zone. You can't kick field goals at that point. So the Giants choked. They choked it up. They should have won. They choked. 1 yard out. So that gives Dallas, a 1-game lead over them. And we'll see what happens, if the Giants can get it together later on in the season. But I figured they would come out struggling. The defense looked good at times. They were getting the ball away from Dallas. But when you play Dallas, there's one thing that you have to remember. The referees is going to cheat. It's America's team. Cowboy fans don't like to hear me say that, but it's the truth. It's America's team. They're going to cheat. My boy got called for pass interference when he barely even touched, was it Cromartie, in the end zone that caused Dallas to get their first touchdown. And I said that touchdown is going to come back to haunt us at some point in the game. Because if they hadn't have called that penalty, Dallas would have had to settle for a field goal. The Giants were on their way to really routing the Cowboys. So the referee had to jump in there, as they always do, and not control the game, not dictate the game, but what they had to do was shift momentum. And that's what they do. That's what their job is. That's their secret undercover job. Keep certain games interesting, and I saw that one coming a mile away. So when you play Dallas, keep in mind you're gonna get those weird phantom calls. So anyway, all excuses to the side. The Giants should have punched the ball into the end zone instead of kicking a damn field goal. And that comes down to the offensive coordinator, and that comes down to Tom Coughlin. Can't blame that on anyone but them. They should have gotten into the end zone. Period. No excuses. It was their fault. They screwed that up. They screwed the pooch. They screwed the pooch. Period. I did see some things that I liked. Kennard looked hungry, and that's what I look for in the Giants. I always look for, are they hungry? Because they're a team that if they play off of emotion. They're an emotion driven team. Most teams are, but they don't. It's not just about talent with the Giants. A lot of it has to do with their attitude. When Strahan was there and OC was there and Tuck was there, a lot of that was attitude. And they had a punch you in the mouth. They had a New York tough guy kind of attitude. And that's what I'm looking for, to see if Steve Spagnuolo can bring that back to the Giants defense. And they did show signs of that. They showed signs of wanting to mix it up, taking the ball. They were aggressive. They were ball hawking. The offense screwed the pooch at the end of the game. Now you can say, well, the Giants allowed the Cowboys to march down the field and win it. The Cowboys had no business even being in that position at the end of the game. You know Romo was going to march the ball down the field at the end of the game if you give him life. There should not have been no field goal kicking. That ball should have been punched into the end zone. There's no excuse. You can't get a yard. There's no excuse. No excuse for that. And I'm salty. It was. You can say it was just the first game of the year, but it was a huge game. It's a division game, and you know Dallas is going to be in the mix for the playoffs and for the division. It was a huge loss in a game that they had won. It would have been different if they had just came out there and got blown out and lost, but to lose when you had the game wrapped up, you had the game won, there's no excuse for that at the 1 yard line. Again, I did see certain things. Beckham was still able to be somewhat productive, even though he was being double teamed the whole damn night because they don't have Victor Cruz. So that's another thing. What I'm saying is, when you know that you're handicapped like that, and you know that you don't have it all, you have to take advantage of every opportunity that you get, every situation, every opportunity you have to take advantage of it. I think that the Giants, unfortunately, they're probably about a year or two away from being where they should be. I think Steve Spagnuolo is going to get them going again, get that defense back to where, maybe not back to where it was, but I think he'll get it back to form. I saw signs of that tonight. They're going to be up and down probably all year long. It's going to take about another year. And I know Giants fans don't want to hear that, but it's true. It's true. They're not ready. They're not on that level. Cruz is out for a minute. There's just so many factors, and Dallas is gonna, like I said, Dallas is gonna be there. Philly is gonna be there. And that's just the division. When you go outside the division, you got to look at Arizona, Seattle, even St. Louis. There's a lot. Green Bay. There's so many teams that are just flat out more talented and ahead of the Giants that this is a year where, unfortunately, it's a contract year for Coughlin and Eli. Well, Eli's already gotten his money. But for Eli and probably for Jerry Reese, that's kind of crazy to me that Reese's job would be on the line. I think dude has done a pretty good job with picking up decent talent. I just think that stupid mistakes like what they did against the Cowboys by not going for it, you can't make those kind of mistakes. I think that they've got Jerry Reese is responsible for you got to look at his track record. He's brought in people like Mario Manningham in the past, Odell Beckham. How do you get rid of him? Like, his job is apparently on the line. I didn't know that. Anyway, that's going to be interesting. It's going to be an interesting year. I say give them one more year. I wouldn't fire anybody this year. I would give them one more year. Give them one more year under the offensive coordinator. This is the second year. Give them one more year under Steve Spagnuolo so that defense can get used to him. And another year, maybe we can have a healthy Victor Cruz and Odell Beckham, and we see what happens. But I just think that they're coming up a year too short. I never really expected much from them this year. Even though it hurts, I wasn't even expecting them to really even be in the game like that. Truth, just being honest, truth be told, I hate to sound like Giant fans want to hear, oh, we're going to go to the Super Bowl, we're going to kick somebody's ass. Da, da, da. I'm not really seeing that. I see them in about 8-8 maybe, which is a step in the right direction. And then I can see them surprising a lot of people next year. I just can't see it this year. I just don't see it. They at times during the game they looked like they were ready to, but they were ready to do that. But I said, nah, not yet. It's not there yet. Now watch what they do. Let's see what happens going forward. What will this loss do to them? Will they pick up from this loss? Will they learn from it? Or will they sit there and go into the cellar? Okay, they usually win. Back in the day, they used to win games like this. Now they've been taking losses in games like this. Romo did this to them last year. And so this is becoming a trend when it used to be the other way around. It used to be Eli owned Romo and the Cowboys. Now it's flipped around. Now the Cowboys is finding ways to beat the Giants. So it's just not their time. It's just not their time. And you're going to have to be a little bit more patient. That's my take on it. It sucks. I hate to say it, but it's true. It's just not time yet.